much better than my cup.
It added something to the spools.
Oh, Joan, you look good. Let me see that smile again. No.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. That's our Joan.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Diane. Mary, Donna, how are you? Hi, Cheryl. Kathy. Kathy Brown. Kathy, I'm not sure about your comment there. She just said hell. Good. Hi, Debbie.
Is that Kathy from
Yeah.
Summer Express?
Yeah. Hi, Bev. Hi, Karen. Hi, Nancy.
Okay.
She said yes.
Hi, Patsy. Hi, Jerry. Lana. Tom.
Two different people, one person.
Sure.
Hi, Diane. Diana, sorry.
Decide I should give her that.
Okay.
Hi, Ellen. Hopefully we have our microphone issues all worked out, so you might just give us a thumbs up if the sound quality is coming good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No?
Hi, Carla. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Tina. Hello, Instagram peeps.
Did you just call them peeps?
I did. So sometimes I never know who's on the Instagram. So
Okay.
welcome.
Well, it could be
Hi, Cheyenne.
ladies or gentlemen.
Yeah.
She said
Probably a
jump
couple of
on?
cats.
Not yet.
Yeah, there's always some cats on. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Carol. Everybody said it sounds really good.
Great.
So what do we got going on? Who are we? Who are we?
I watched a movie about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird.
They're always weird when they're like that.
They are.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you. Appreciate the sound check.
Just leave it. No, just leave
All right.
it. To jump on. No, I don't. She wants to do her dance. You didn't do.
Be sure and say hi when you jump on.
You didn't say hi. Hi! Can't do it.
Hi, Ferdinand.
Wasn't in the script tonight. We didn't have a read it thing.
Yeah, we don't have a script.
Yeah.
This is totally unscripted, live. Anything can happen and usually does.
I fixed it so it won't be so loud.
So what's going on?
We got the
Who are
thread
we?
of the month back in stock. So that's good.
That's good because the month is almost over.
Well, it's a very popular color, so lots of people wanted
You
this
knew
one.
that going in.
I did. I thought I ordered enough. I ordered
know.
several boxes.
Hi, Mary.
So
Hi, Karen.
we are Quilters HQ, Windmill Sewing Center, and Sewing Machines Express. Quilters HQ and Windmill Sewing Center are in Overland Park, Kansas, and Sewing Machines Express is in Springfield, Missouri.
Sorry. That was
It's the live stuff that I was telling you about earlier. So, what were you taking a picture
Hi,
of?
Penny.
The
My
cup
coffee cup.
to send to my daughter.
It is a cute cup.
That will come later.
Yeah, we'll show
Okay.
it.
So we do this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, and you can shop with some of the items that we'll show you, like the thread of the month. Ooh, good catch.
Nice.
I know.
Modesty.
No.
Lots of it here.
Yeah, there's enough modesty to go around. But so if you want to shop with us, you say make it mine in the item. We will send you an email. You have to go to our website. One of them, any of them, it doesn't matter which one. They are quiltershq.com, windmillsewingcenter.com, and QHQ and the number 2.com, and register for Make It So. And that gives us your information. We will send you an email with an invoice with a clickable pay button. Just let us know whether or not you want to ship it or pick it up. So, thread of the month is back in stock. This is
Hi, Ann.
color
Hi, Georgia.
2615. One of my favorites. I've talked about this a lot. So, this is what I piece with exclusively. It disappears. I've even pieced black with it and doesn't really show up. I mean, if you really stretch your seams, it will, but
What's the name of the color?
aluminum.
Aluminum. That's what I was thinking. It was a metal.
Hi, Amber. Hi, Jane.
So, if you want one of these, come and make it
Hi,
mine,
Leslie.
and we'll get that to you. and let us know whether you want to pick it up or ship it to you. And those are $13.59 normally, and if you're in our club, it's 20% off. The color of the month is 15% off. So we have Michelle is here tonight from Windmill Sewing Center, and she's going to talk about some classes that we have. And if we have time, we've got a couple of new cabinets to show you, and we'll talk about troubleshooting. So Marilyn has a story.
Hi, Cindy.
Safety tip.
Hi, Kitty.
And she has a safety tip too.
And do we have anything going on coming up? I think we just had the Viking event, which is November 6th. It's a virtual event in Springfield. I think that one's full as of today.
Yep, that one filled up.
Pretty quick.
But if it's virtual.
How could it fill up?
Well, social distancing and how we have to set the machines up. So
Okay.
it had to be.
Oh, the educator's virtual, but we're actually, people are coming in. Okay.
Yeah, so
My
it
bad.
had to be one person per machine because of the class. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other than that, we have some classes that Michelle's going to talk about coming up. She said she only has a couple of spots left, though.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Should we go to her next?
I'm going to start here.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. How you doing on this lovely cold evening? Anybody ready for spring yet?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm not ready for this. Well, I thought I would get a little festive with you here because I don't know how many days till Christmas, but it's coming around the corner pretty quick. If you're like me, you may kind of procrastinate and not get your gifts done. So I thought maybe this might be a good time to just kind of show you a couple ideas, things that you can make easily for some inexpensive gifts. We've all got gift exchanges at work. If you're at work, we have family and friends. Maybe we're mailing gifts. Maybe we're getting together. But I just kind of wanted to give you some ideas. And I'll start with one of my favorite things here to do is to just make a cute little apron out of a tea towel. Now, who would think you could do that? Can you see me now?
You can pick it up too.
We have these lovely tea towels at the Bernina store. We have these in the red and white and the green and white. And you can just add a little ruffle, a little pocket, embroider a name on it. If you've got kids or grandkids, these make a great little gift for the little ones. You can put their name on the top. Kids love things with their names on it. So some cute fabric. We've got some really cute fabric here that would be great for kids. Lots of different patterns. So just put a little pocket on, embroider the child's name, or just take part of the fabric and if you've got a feature print with a cute little picture on it and put that on the top. All you do is just kind of turn over your edges, make a casing, make a tie, and you've got a very quick apron. So check us out at the Windmill Sewing Center for tea towels. We've got a pretty nice selection. Of course, you can use the tea towels to do embroidery on, also to do for gifts, which are really nice just for kitchen towels. So there's a great idea
Very
for
cool.
you.
Yeah.
Next thing I want to show you, does anybody ever have a pile of beautiful scraps that you absolutely cannot throw away or you'll get struck by lightning?
I do.
I do. Here was a project that had a jelly roll and they wanted you to cut 2-inch strips. What are you going to do with 1/2 inch? You can't do anything with it. So I decided to come up with some kind of a project that I could utilize that. So what I did was took a piece of Fusible Interfacing, and we happen to have that here at the store. We've got a really great product. What I love about this is it's 45 inches wide. $7.99 a yard. Awesome stuff. This is really good for t-shirt quilts. So what you do with this is you just start with a base, whatever size you want. And what I've done here is just taking all these individual strips and I pressed them and I put them in kind of a woven pattern here. I call this confetti quilting. I will just, first of all, I would press all these little scraps, would lay them out here on my fusible to a design that I like, and then I would go ahead and fuse that. Once I have that fused, I kind of need to keep all these loose edges down somehow. So I would take a piece of tulle, and I don't know if you can see this, it's hard to see unless you double it up because of the color. Really fine netting.
Oh, what is that?
So tulle, you're going to find it in the bridal department in lots of different colors, just a really fine
cool.
mesh. So once I had my everything the way I wanted it infused, I would then put this tulle over the top of it. I then use a clear thread, monopoly thread, and just sew a random grid. Once I've done that, I've created a piece of fabric that can be turned into different projects. One project here that I've done with this technique is a laptop carrier, just kind of a basic envelope. This is an indigo junction pattern. Not sure if
Very
we
cool.
have.
Yeah.
We've had this indigo junction pattern at the Bernina store.
Yeah.
Just a basic laptop sleeve. So I've taken the piece that I created with the confetti quilting for the front. Use some variegated thread, which we have lots of different colors of variegated thread here that are great for this too. Did a little stitching on top of some batting to create this padded laptop carrier.
And the tulle gives it a nice.
It gives it kind of a
Texture, right?
texture, and I think it'll kind of protect things too. And then another project that I did with this, using the same technique, is a notebook. And this is a class that I'm scheduling at the Bernina store at Windmill for November 13th from 12 to 4 to create this notebook. And we will be utilizing the same technique of weaving the strips of fabric and creating a fabric piece out of nothing but scraps. Now, we all have scraps laying around. I venture guess you have some scraps. You might even have to cut some up. I don't know. But you could use this technique with anything. Once you've got it created, you can then make a bag, any number of things with it. Once you've created a piece of fabric from basically nothing, and now you can take that piece and create something else with it. So that's a class I've got coming up November 13th again. Here's my little, we've got November 13th from 12 to 4. That's at the Bernina store in Overland Park. Would love to have you join us. I think there's 2 or 3 spots left in that class yet. So, and we have a limit of 6 because we want to make sure that we have enough space for everybody. Everybody will have their own table, and we'll do our social distancing as best that we can. So we're limiting that class to 6. So if you'd like to sign up for that, you can go to the Windmill Sewing Center website. You can go to our classes, and that's called the Confetti Notebook class, if you'd like to sign up for that.
What a cool idea with scraps.
I mean,
just to reuse
seriously.
stuff. I mean, a lot of people say, what do I do with that stuff when,
could you throw this away?
Yeah, I mean, or that there's extra, right? So
I have been
what a great
sitting on
idea.
this for 2 years going, what am I going to do with these? And look at how much I'd left. Huh?
You can make a bridal bouquet.
I could. I mean,
Ready.
I'm like, I could make a lot of pieces of fabric with this because I can't throw it away. Struck by lightning.
Hi, Connie.
What does everybody think of that? Cool or not? We like it?
Yeah, I mean, I think
All
there's
right.
a lot of stuff that you can, got a great idea.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be great for bags, and especially with this, with the tulle over it, it gives it kind of a finish that feels like it's almost indestructible. And somebody that doesn't like the nails on the chalkboard might find, I don't know. I think that bothering anybody?
Hi,
My
Kathy.
hangnails would catch.
Yeah, it might. Well, those
Hi,
holes
Sue.
are so small, I don't think it would. Anyway, next idea I have for you. Another class I have coming up, actually this Friday, is a mug rug class. And this class is utilizing vintage linens. So we have little handkerchiefs, all kinds of fun little pieces, bits and pieces for starters. Now, there's been a huge craze on making pin cushions. Well, that's nice, but not all of your friends need a pincushion. Everybody can use a mug rug. You got teachers, you got coworkers, friends and family.
I need one.
There's
mean,
a few of those.
You have one.
Well, you got to have more than one, right?
Well, and let's
know.
face it, there's a few of those people you really don't like, but you have to give them something. So, just
No, we don't know anybody like that.
that might bring me.
That's a mug rugger.
That might bring me into my next thing. So, a great gift is
Hi,
a
Sharon. Hi, Dorothy.
mug rug with a coffee cup, some cocoa, a peppermint stick, marshmallows, and a bow. And then if you have a scan and cut, you can create your own sayings on the coffee cup. Now this is what Susan was taking a picture earlier.
My daughter is a therapist.
Her daughter's a therapist. Now I have to say this was a gift from my daughter-in-law. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hi, Ann. I think she likes me. I found it amusing. I didn't take offense to it. But if you've got a scan and cut, think of the horrible things you could put on a coffee cup. I mean, seriously, you know?
But you better make your coffee really good.
Really good. So there's a nice gift. We got something pretty and then kind of a snarky little coffee cup. So, what are they going to do?
Well, that's fun.
So, and then another idea is if you're really cheap like me, you go to the thrift store and for 99 cents, you get a lovely mug. Hopefully you're not giving it back to the person that gave it to the thrift store.
Could come around, yeah. That's circle there.
So you might
Hi,
keep
Pamela.
in mind territories. If you got this in Shawnee, you might want to give it to somebody in
Blue Spring.
Blue Springs or Green Valley. Just
Or
saying.
mail it out of
So
state.
if you're from Shawnee, I got a set of 6 of these and I love them. So thank you. And how these are constructed is pretty easy. This is my whole mess here. I like working with vintage linens.
That's been really popular, hasn't it?
It has been very popular.
A lot of people have been buying old napkins and things like
yes.
that. And then
Here is a vintage handkerchief, and I wanted to show you. Sometimes these vintage handkerchiefs are so sheer that you need something underneath. Here again is just our fusible woven interfacing. You're going to put that under there and cut that out, and that's your starter. All of these pieces had what I would call a starter. You're going to take this little corner and perhaps mount it on a solid piece of fabric, and there's your starter piece.
oh, that's really cool.
And then just like a log cabin, you're just going to add your strips of fabric around to create something. And then you're going to add some vintage, this is a piece of tatting. And then maybe you're going to throw in a little corner of something. So there's an example of how something is constructed. And then I construct a piece for the back. And I got all these little tiny dot prints. You have a huge supply of colors of these tiny dots. You want really tiny prints when you're working with this. And so several of these, I know this is one. They have some really nice prints here that I like to use. These are Riley Blake, but they're Calico Days by Lori Holt. And so these fabrics kind of give you that impression of vintage, and they work nicely when you put in some vintage pieces with them. So we have, what do you have, about 20 different prints
Something like
from
that.
this line. So if you get a chance to come into the store and check those out, we've got a huge selection of those prints as well as the tiny little dots. I have those in almost all the colors, the yellow, the pink, the purple, all the different ones you have. Those are really great for that.
And if you're not here, you can actually shop online as well, and just
yeah. So
and we'll ship them out to you. So
and then another thing you can do. I haven't stuffed this yet, but this would be the same concept up to the final point where you leave a hole in it, and you're going to stuff that with walnut shells, and you have a pin cushion for the gifts for your sewing friends if you have sewing friends. So that makes just kind of a fun little gift. Or you've got the mug rugs, again, for the people you don't like. Or, hey, they're out there. No, I'm kidding. You know, I'm making like, all my friends that are watching this, you're all going to get one for Christmas, so surprise. But, you know, there are things you have at home already, so it doesn't cost you much. And another thing I like to do is I use up my batting scraps, and I was looking at this piece that I'm using has 7 pieces of batting that I have zigzagged together. So we all have leftover batting when you trim off your quilts. I sew all those little pieces together and then come up with a size that I want to work with. And so just from your scraps, you can make a ton of gifts, even for the people you do like. They might even like them. So, and it doesn't matter, you know, use any kind of fabric. Use your seasonal, your Christmas or any kind of holiday prints. It doesn't have to be vintage, but I just like the vintage linens. I always kind of feel like there's some sweet little lady up in heaven smiling down because what she made is being used and enjoyed and not stuck in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah.
So you may have family linens that you don't want to cut. Well, you can go to a flea market, antique store, thrift store, and find all kinds of things that you can cut up that are safe to cut up. So, and if you do have a family piece, maybe you can cut that, what Grandma made, into 10 different little starters and make gifts for all the family members. It's kind of hard to share one piece, but if you cut that up and make little projects out of them, you can share those with lots of family members.
Well, there was a viewer question about types of interfacing that you could use when you're working with such delicate materials.
This Fusible is awesome. I have used it, yes, the Fusible woven.
Is it SF101?
Well, that I have used, and I've also, as I just showed you what we have here, for example, this is a gorgeous handkerchief. It was very thin. It was sheer. So I did back that with the Fusible woven interfacing before I went any further. So you do have to do that on these very sheer ones. Here's another little handkerchief that I just bought, and you can see how sheer that is. That is really not going to work. Yeah. You can put it on a color, you can still kind of see through it. So I will take the Fusible and put that underneath it, and then it shows up so much better. And then I may mount that on another fabric of some sort as a starter piece. But yeah, you have to use something. And the Fusible woven interfacing that we have here at the store works great for that.
What about a thread choice when you're using something like that? Is there a certain weight that you would use? Or?
No, I just use whatever I would typically use for piecing. And then I do quilt on these once I get them to a certain point. And I did use my featherweight to quilt the back of some of these. Just use my featherweight machine. But I will quilt the front with typically just straight lines and some random lines. I did do some actual free motion on some of them, but just very simple quilting design, straight line. Yeah, I guess I don't have any free motion on any of these, but just using whatever thread I use for my piecing.
Okay. Very cool.
Other questions for me? And that class, I still have, I think I have 2 spots in that class. So that's actually this Friday in Overland Park. So not much time to sign up on this one. So I have Friday, October 23rd from 1 to 4 at the Bernina store at Windmill. This is a class I would like to, when we get around to it, it's a little round thing that says to it, on doing online classes, because I think
Mhm.
this would be a fun one to do
Yeah.
online.
This would be a
So-
great virtual
Just square
class,
up.
right?
Yes, and this is about the size that you want. Joan's given me here this 8x8 ruler, which
have
is a
this
perfect size. That's about the range that you want to do. I typically do 7 inches for the pin cushions, and I think that's about what this one will be. But you can do them any size. And what's nice, you know, if you've got a bigger piece that you want to feature, make it bigger. This would be cute, like you could make it 12 inches. Put it on your kitchen table. Set your salt and pepper on it or whatever. Or in the living room, put it on a candle. Put a candle on it. So we have the 8x8 ruler here. We also have the 6.5 by 6.5, which I like that ruler too. That's a good size.
How much is the 8x8? Those are the Quilter Select ones
Yes,
if you don't have those.
$26.99.
$26.99. The 6x6.
And the 6x6 is $23.99.
So if you want either of those rulers, you comment "Make it mine"
Mm-hmm.
and what size you want, and whether you want it to ship or pick up.
Awesome. Okay. And also, if you want any of this fusible interfacing, I highly recommend this. We have the woven fusible. It's 45 inches wide, which is great, and it's $7.99 a yard. So that would be, and these are types of things that I use a lot of with this fusible woven. I use it on a lot of things. I typically would have 10 yards of this on hand because I use it on just about everything.
Dana came over and got 5 yards of it.
Yes. Yeah. I would
Hi,
use
Barb.
this on just about any project I work on. I make a lot of little bags. Another idea for our confetti quilt, when I make a bunch of these base fabrics, is I'll make some zippered bags. And I typically will use the fusible woven on those also. So a lot of uses for this. So I highly recommend this product.
Really cool projects on the vintage. A lot of people are interested in that.
Yeah.
A lot of comments tonight already. I mean, what a
Well-
great idea for memory.
Memories, yeah. And I think that's a class that we will work on trying to get put together so that we can help you save some of those memories for your family, because it's a shame to have that stuck away in a drawer somewhere. So let's get it out and use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't
So-
use those the same way they did.
Right, right.
So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I have stuff
Sure.
like that.
Yes.
And it's beautiful, but
What do you do with it? Yeah.
I mean, we don't have doilies on our
Right.
sofa arms and things like that, and you can't get to it anyway, so.
Indeed.
Plaything for the kitty. Their cats must have been better behaved, or
Yeah, I don't know. We've had several cat incidents. We had a broken embroidery machine that was caused by a cat.
Oh.
So, bad kitty.
How many lives does that cat have left?
Well, it must have
No.
a few, because then it went out and joined its master in the hot tub, not knowing that the cover wasn't on.
That was the kitty got.
he got a bath.
Fun. Yeah.
So one of the viewers was saying that you could put those in a frame.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then so
Indeed.
you could hang them in the house as well, right?
Indeed,
So
and a lot of people, I'll throw out a name here, Kelly Klein. A lot of the local people know her. She's in Lawrence, and shout out to Kelly. I know she loves your store. She is the quilting vintage queen, and she does a lot with her long arm, doing big projects like, table covers and wall hangings and things like that, tablecloths. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. You could take if you have a really elegant, like I'm thinking of a dress or scarf where you have it folded in half, put that on the side of a bag, make a tote bag, and have that be the feature print on a tote bag. Tons of things you can do.
Okay.
So,
very nice. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very, very much,
Sure.
Michelle. A lot of fun projects.
Shall we tell?
oh, is it
After that?
next?
Well,
Yes, you
we-
have to go after that.
We didn't say anything about the shirts, so
Oh,
Okay.
we had a lot of comments about the shirts. So
Okay.
we're working on those, and we're doing voting on that as well, or pre-orders.
Pre-orders. Wait, you know more about it than I do, so you should talk about it.
So we're doing pre-orders.
Yes, we're doing a little bit of a survey to kind of gauge interest. So if you're interested in buying one, we highly recommend doing the survey. I'll put a link in the comments right now. That way we kind of have a better idea of what we're needing.
And so we'll have the
Okay.
Make It So shirts, I think, and then we'll do some other designs probably as well. But this first round will be kind of fun. So if you haven't seen it, be sure and look at it.
I thought they turned out cute.
Yeah, they are.
I put a link
So-
to the survey in the reminder newsletter that went out for the show, so if you got one of those and came from there, you can find it in there.
Very
Okay.
nice. All right, what do you got, Marilyn?
Marilyn, batter up.
Thanks. Well, I tried to do this last week, and unfortunately, we had a series of disasters. If you remember back by the ironing board, right? We were a little close quarters there, and things kept falling on the floor. And then, let's see, I think I got bumped by somebody once, and I don't know, it was not a good night.
We had
was
some
it?
microphone problems.
Some,
Sometimes
they're
they're
just
not
kind of
on.
awful.
Right?
So what I was showing you was my little bird that I was so proud of. Well, here's another little bird. But the first one that I did is this one, and I was going to fuse it on a square, and I intend to make something out of it, table runner.
How about a mug rug for people you like?
I don't want a mug rug on my bird.
What about it framed in your house?
But a frame would be nice. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But I was showing Joan this morning because I didn't have it ironed on yet. When I made it last week, I had ironed it onto the fusible on the back and was showing you how to, do that. So since then, I've cut it out, and I have now taken that fusible off, and I've ironed it onto my fabric. One of the things that you need to know is that your iron should only be at about 350. It shouldn't be on the hottest setting, and it shouldn't be on steam. You only leave it on there about 15 or 20 seconds. And that seems to be a pretty good fuse. And I even cut the tiny little legs and this little branch here. I cut those out with the fusible on and was able to get the fusible off and just press it on, and I didn't have any problems with
That's
it, which
good. Nice.
I thought was amazing.
Was that the
Considering I
hot
was-
fix adhesive?
That is the
That's the hot fix adhesive. So I have cut out a number of birds, and they're kind of, they all look similar, a little bit different poses, and so that will be the feature part of whatever I determine the overall piece will be. Maybe it'll just be a bunch of these little things, you never know. But I don't have those ironed on yet. So one of the things, though, I wanted to ask you all is if you can see anything wrong with this picture.
Are they going upside down,
No,
The,
it's standing
berries?
right side up.
the berries?
I don't know. Berries in the winter are kind of
Viewers
frozen.
out there.
Wind can whip them
the
around.
snow is on the bottom.
Hi, Christina.
She is as good as Joan because I
Ding,
took
ding,
it
ding,
into
ding,
Joan.
ding. We have a winner.
And I said, "Oh, look at my bird, and I've got it ironed on and everything." And she said,
Snow's
"Oh."
upside down.
No, she said. I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Well, when it snows, where does the snow land on the branch?" So I am going to use this
Ooh, Julie was
anyway.
Got some viewers that noticed.
That knew it too. So I'm going to use it anyway because I like that little bird. And I'll just put that one that'll be backwards, and I'll make all the others right. But I thought that was kind of interesting that Joan picked that up right away. I showed it to a few other people, and they didn't understand it or get it. So I didn't feel quite so bad. But,
Creative element.
that's right. And that's my position in this store is to keep you all, entertained. So I did have a safety tip.
So does it snow upside down in your world then? possibly?
Well, they could be
It
branches.
could.
Right.
And it
Well,
could
when
be a
the wind
cigarette.
blows and
Yeah,
whips
it blows it up. There
around
you
and
go.
and the ice melts and the,
Somebody said the snow on top melted.
There you
there
go.
you are. Yeah,
Thank
All right.
you.
see,
Dear.
so.
Thank you, Carol.
But I really was impressed at how those could be cut out and on such tiny little pieces.
And what scissors did you use?
I used my little scissors that look like the orange ones. Where are they?
Orange ones.
Yeah.
The squeezy
These.
ones.
These are mine, actually.
Okay.
So I use these scissors, which isn't a good thing because it's paper on the back probably, but they have that nice point on them. So you need something with a good point. And we don't have these in the store, I don't believe.
We
Well-
have a different brand.
Kathy had an idea for you that you could just press it again and maybe loosen the bird up. And maybe it'll come off and you can turn him around.
I don't think
I
so.
don't know if this will
It's
work with the hot
permanent.
fix.
And especially with those tiny little legs. But I like your thought process. That's good. So I had a safety tip, and we're in Kansas. You all know that. And the weather here can change on a dime. So right now, the dime that we're on is tending toward winter. It's very chilly and it's rainy, and we're going to have like 3 or 4 days that way, and then I think in the middle of the week it's going to shoot up to 80, and then the next day it's going to fall back down. So we're just hopping all around. I just want you to be conscious that winter is coming. So please take your cars in, have them winterized, check your tires, make sure that everything's
Ellen.
in shape so that you don't go out and have a stalled car on the side of the road in the middle of winter and nobody to help you. So get it taken care of.
Battery's always good this time of
The
year.
battery too. And the other thing is, don't slam on your brakes on the ice. That's kind of a no-no. So kind of take it easy and just tap them a little bit. And then I have one more tip that I heard on the news this morning that I thought was kind of interesting, and maybe all of you have heard it too. I'll probably use some wrong terminology here, but I hear that there's a meteor headed our way, and it's the size of the Empire State Building. And, they're saying, we don't know how soon it's going to hit, but probably in the next billion years. So this is like on the news.
So get to
Must
sew.
have been
How-
News Day?
How do we prepare for that? If
Get
any of
sewing
you-
now.
Yeah. Start sewing.
There you go.
Sew all the vintage stuff together, make a giant net, and we'll just shoot it
There
back.
you go. There you go. So anyhow, I wanted to pass that little bit along, and I thought you might enjoy it. So
Billion
that's-
years, okay.
yeah, something like that.
All right.
I mean, it could
I'm
have
going
been
to
a
add to
million.
your tip. Put a quilt in your car.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
We
That's
learned
from
that
your
Yellowstone,
vacation.
didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Tell us.
We got trapped in a snowstorm while we were on
got
vacation, so
stranded.
on Memorial Day.
We got stranded on the pass. Well, it's like Continental Divide,
Yeah,
so
we're-
way up in the mountains. And we were all the way up in the top of Yellowstone, up by Montana, and it started snowing and sleeting, and it wasn't really bad because it had been warm, so it wasn't really sticking. So we made it out of the park, but the place where we were staying is probably another 2 hours away.
About 45 minutes to an hour, but yeah.
It seemed like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long drive, and it was cold and chilly, and so we were lucky. We found a little lodge, and they were closed. The gas station was closed, the lodge was closed, but they had been open for cabins because they were doing social distancing, and so we were in the car. We had ponchos and sweaters, and we had plenty of gas. We could turn the car on, and so it was probably about 11 o'clock. Then we turned the car on again to warm up, and the security guy knocked on the door, and he said they opened the hotel. So
Come get a room.
slept in a warm bed instead of in a cold car,
Yeah,
but
that was nice.
So have a quilt.
have
a
a
quilt
quilt,
with you,
have a
yep.
blankie, something to keep you warm.
We'll start a new trend, car quilts.
Car
Ooh,
quilts.
I like this.
Minky, you got to back those with Minky because they have extra cushion.
So then we could have car quilt clubs.
There we
Okay.
go. Why not?
Robert's all over that.
Wow.
We should put him
This
in
is
charge of
awesome.
it.
Robert's going to be heading up that club.
Get your car quilt,
Club.
bring it out to the club. Show everybody.
It's Car Quilt Club Day.
That's right.
Car Quilt Club Day. I can't do
Yeah,
that.
you gotta
Nope.
say that fast. That's
Nope,
tough.
not gonna say that fast. So we were gonna have conversate. Come on over. Join
Oh,
us in.
troubleshooting.
Troubleshooting.
Is this a panel?
Nope.
Yeah.
We're talking about. So we have conversations we've had a couple about needles and.
Mhm.
Oh, so you're gonna show it anyway. So now you have to.
Well, he's not going to do a close-up on the stitches or anything because this is really poor. I haven't free-motioned for a long time.
I think it looks fine.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
Oh, yeah. They're all very nice around here. So this was our first AccuQuilt assignment, and you've seen it. I think I've shown the top before without anything, and I decided I'd pull it out and I'd use it for practice. So I decided I'm just going to meander it because I want to get it in here and get it out of my kit. And I forgot the binding, so I just went ahead and serged it here. But in doing that, I started it at home, thinking I would get it done at home. You know, big ideas, everything. So I started it, and then I realized I didn't have the thread, so I came into the store, and I found the thread I wanted to use. And then I went back home, and I sat down, and I go, oh boy, I'm really going to get going now. So I started sewing, and it went along, and then it went clank, 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 and then and the needle broke, and the thread just fuzzed up, and I went, I won't tell you what I said. And so I was very disappointed. So I stopped and I took it all out and I changed my needle because I thought, well, my needle must have been bent from something else that I had done, or it had a burr on it or something wrong. So I started again. After about 3 needles and a wad of thread and probably, 5 or 6 starts, I finally threw up my hands and said, I'm taking that thing into Robert so he can look at it and tell me what's wrong. Well, I took it in this morning, and Joan looked at it, and she said, probably need to change your needle. I could have just bopped her.
She did have a really intense look.
So we kind of conversed back and forth, and I said, well, what needle should I use? And she said, well, let's see here. And I said, I've changed it 3 times. This is the needle I have in my machine, and the last needle I used, and I've taken everything out again, and, I'm getting really frustrated, and it's looking like it in my quilting here. And so she sat down, and she said, well, you need a 14.
Or a 16.
Or 16, and I said, okay, a 14 or a 16 and what? Is that a quilting needle? Because I picked out, it said quilting or it said universal, and I figured quilting or universal is what I should be able to use.
Yes.
It didn't work. And so she sent me out into the store, and I came back with a universal that was a 14. She put it in, and she just went, and it worked wonderfully. And I went, humph!
Done.
I'm so upset because I tried changing the needle 3 times. So she went into the explanation about all of the needles and how they're used. And she even bent a couple. She's pretty strong, so you don't want to cross her.
No, it was 11. That was been pretty easy.
Yeah, that's what she said. So with that, we decided that tonight perhaps would be a good time to do some troubleshooting about needles.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, if we had time, she was also going to show how to, some of the techniques for folding your stash.
Yes.
So I think that's a
we
good
might
one
save
too.
that for another another show.
Did you have anything?
Fabric storage.
I got nothing.
To trouble. We've got to talk.
Wait a minute. I can throw a little thing in here. You all have heard Marilyn and I talk about the infamous Christmas quilt that's been going on for years. And I decided I want it out of the way. And she suggested that I do another sample piece just to kind of get my feet in the water again. So I cut out Halloween fabric to do it. Didn't go well, took it all apart, and today I'm redesigning the whole thing. It's not going to look anything like that Christmas quilt, and I'm done. Now, Jonas suggested I just take it out, dig a hole, and bury it. So I have a couple options there.
How about you put it in the car?
There you go. It's a car quilt.
Just cut it in
Just
those little
pieces.
strips.
It's not even put together.
Sew them onto a piece of batting or a piece of minky, and it's a car quilt.
There you go.
Michelle's answered everything.
There you go.
Right. Slap it together.
So, back to this. So, we hear it all the time. We get phone calls, we get machines brought in, and so you will come in and tell us, well, it's shredding my thread. And so that's one of the things that we listen for is what's happening. And it really will save you a lot of time and money if you know what's going on with your machine when you bring it in and say, you know, because we get the range of, it was like that when I sat down. Could have been a grandchild, maybe was playing with
Cat.
She's mimicking me now.
No, I'm not. Well, I was doing this, I was sewing with this needle, and I had this thread, and that's great. So the thing that was key for me with Marilyn when I said change your name right before she was going to hit me was my thread is shredding. And so what that meant to me was, okay, she's trying to go through all of these layers, so her needle's too small. Because that scarf protects that thread as the needle goes through all of these layers. And I'm guessing with some of this stuff you've had to move up to like a 12 or a 14.
Yeah, using a quilting needles, yeah.
Quilting needles. And so one of the things that we were talking about was troubleshooting. Is how do you know when you have the right needle? Because needles and thread go together. And then, of course, needles and thread and what you're sewing also go together. And sometimes you just have to experiment. Some needles I would never use on fabric, like a leather needle. It has, I'd say that. I would. So it depends on the project. If that's what I had and I wanted to get it done, I would do it. But the leather needle has like a little knife in it, so it actually helps penetrate that. So yeah, I would probably do it because by the time those threads break and fray, I won't be here. It'll be somebody else's problem.
There you go.
Somebody else's vintage.
Somebody else's vintage, and it'll wind up like this. But
As a gift for somebody you don't like.
yeah. So there's things that you always need to do, and so there's some kind of key rules of thumb. Is that right? Rules of thumb or rules of thumb. And so when you start quilting, always just stop and take a look at your project. Look at the top, look at the back, pick up your threads, and see if you can pick at your thread and it's loose and do that. But a good rule of thumb when you're sewing and your thread is shredding, you need to move up at least a size in your needle, sometimes 2, depending on what you're doing. So if you're sewing with a 12 and your thread is shredding like that, go up to a 14 or a 16. The other one that I think is a really good one is, where is the problem? If you see the problem on the back of your project, that means the issue is on the top of your machine. So I would snip that thread, and you may be absolutely certain that you threaded it right because it happens here. So they'll bring it in, we'll rethread it, it sews perfect, and they will have threaded it right, but it happens. So snip that thread, pull it all the way out, and rethread your machine if you see problems, loops or things like that on the back of your top. If you see it too loose on the top, if you see stuff coming up from the bottom, the issue is on the bottom of your machine. Check to make sure you put the bobbin in the right direction. Make sure you have a well-wound bobbin. Should be firm, not really hard. I mean, some of the pre-wounds are hard, but it should be firm, not spongy. So if you have a spongy bobbin, that can cause problems for you too.
So we had a viewer question about, would that apply to embroidery as well?
Embroidery is a little bit different, but yes, sort of. So with embroidery, so we made a needle pack in the hoop here, and I actually did use a leather needle because we were sewing through vinyl. So the normal 7511 needle that I use for embroidery would not work on that project. It would just break. So definitely it depends on the project. Hoops, projects in the hoop, you probably need a little bit larger needle. We do like the really thin needles when we're doing embroidery because it is sewing through that so many times. So we don't want to create.
Yeah, great
loopholes.
question.
That is a good question. And it depends on the stabilizer too. So that's a whole nother conversation. You'd want to wait for an event, like an OESD event or a Floriani event where we talk about stabilizers.
There's a lot of them out there and a lot of different uses for the stabilizers.
But these are just some basic troubleshooting. So things, before you pick up the phone or pick up your machine to bring it in, rethread it. Just snip that thread, rethread the entire thing. Take the needle out, feel the needle to see if there's a burr on the needle. We don't think they are, but sometimes when you rub your finger over it, you can feel it. That will cause problems for you as well. Make sure you're sewing with the right needle. So if you're using an 80 weight thread, you need a smaller needle. So those things go in hand in hand too. Look at your project. Where is the problem? Is it on the top or the bottom? And if you do call us, those are nice things for us to know, because it's really hard to diagnose a sewing issue over the phone because we're not seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
I think, do you have anything to add?
There's
You
a lot
did
of little
it
tension
too.
discs in there when you're threading in the machines. A lot of them have really tight tension discs, so that's why I want to make sure sometimes it just doesn't get in that tension disc right. So.
Well, oftentimes I see at the Bernina store, some of the what I hear with the service techs is that more in particular with some of the older machines, that you need to make sure you have your presser foot up when you
Good point.
thread the machine.
Yep.
Now some of the other, like the 7 series machines, those presser foots, they rise automatically. So that's not an issue. But some of the machines that don't have that feature, rule number 1 is make sure the presser foot is up when you thread the machine.
Yep.
Or you're going to have a
You won't
mess.
get in the tension disc because
Yes.
if the
'Cause
pressure foot's down,
'Cause
it's
they're-
closed.
They are,
Yep.
yes. You need the discs open. So when you thread.
So we had a question for all of you. What causes the bobbin case to get a cut in it to make the needles break?
A cut in the bobbin case. So that usually happens from the needle. So I see this a lot. I know you do too. When we're demoing new machines and we're sewing along and we're showing these wonderful new machines that just the fabric just glides through, and you have someone who learned how to sew a few years back and the feed dogs were not quite as good, and they are helping that fabric go through that machine, and you just tell them, okay, just let the machine feed the fabric through. So what you're doing when you do that is you're actually pushing that needle out of the location, and so sorry, that needle can actually come down and hit your bobbin case. So sewing and assisting that fabric, your job is to steer, to make sure that and you can use a guide to make sure that that fabric is going straight through the machine. It's the machine's job to pull that fabric through. You don't need to assist. Sometimes if it's big and bulky and our machines are a little bit older, we might have to tug a little bit from the back to get it started, but that should be it. But usually it's if there's a nick or something on the bobbin or the bobbin case from the needle.
So we got some questions for you guys.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you know how to do the missionary stitch to a quilt? To tie a quilt. Missionary stitch to tie a quilt.
It's a Joan question.
I don't.
Well, and I haven't done, I know my grandmother was,
Yeah.
we're talking about tying the layers together rather than actually machine quilting. I'm not real familiar with it. I've done a little bit of it. I didn't know there was, I always did like a square knot.
Yep.
Is what I've always done when I've tied a quilt. I'm not familiar with any other knots. I've not done a lot of that.
And the next one was, so if you're using 50 weight Aerofill,
Okay.
what needle size would you recommend?
Are we sewing or quilting or embroidering?
So that would be the first question, Ellen, would be
Mhm.
what type of sewing are we doing to pick the needle
So,
size?
if you're just piecing, I would use a size 12. If you're embroidering, I'd take it down to an 11. If you're quilting, I would jump to a 14.
And she had a follow-up question, when would you use a titanium needle?
Quilting.
They have those with the embroidery also, the sharp
They do.
titaniums. Mhm.
So
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't know. I mean, I'm
They're more
of two minds on.
expensive.
That's what I'm thinking, though,
Mhm.
is
They're more
that
expensive.
I'm of two minds on it because with embroidery, you're going to change your needle faster. I don't know if you get the extra life out of it or not. So you do go through needles much, much faster when you're doing embroidery. I might go with the chrome. But
So-
Can I throw in a quick one?
sure.
I had a call at the store about a week and a half ago from a great customer of ours, and she was so frustrated because she said her machine would not sew. And she turned it on and off, done everything she could think of, and I'm sitting there thinking about it going, I bet I know what it is. Most of the newer machines, when you have your bobbin, you're pushing a little thing into the bobbin so it holds the bobbin while it's winding. If that is pushed into your bobbin, your machine's not going to sew. So just double check that, make sure that is pushed
That
out.
little lever.
Yeah, because, and that solved her problem. And she was ready to bring the machine in and all that. I said, no, just try that, and it worked. I've had it happen to me because I forget, and you don't realize that you've accidentally pushed that into the bobbin. So that's my thought.
We've had that. People call and say my machine's making a funny noise, and the bobbin winder is engaged. So it happens. I mean, we all have those moments. So don't, if you've struggled with it for more than, half an hour and you can't figure it out, pick up the phone. So those are some of the things that we think of right off the top of our head.
So we had another viewer question. We can take one more, and then we've got a giveaway tonight.
Okay.
So, do you have a chart that shows the different threads and what needle you should use based on the type of sewing that you're doing?
We have a book. I think we're out of it here. We might have it at the Bernina's.
It's a
the
good
Windmill.
book, yeah.
It's the Know
We're
Your
out.
Needles. And it talks about what needle. It doesn't go into the thread a lot, but it does talk about the application. So really when you need to think about thread is when you're using threads that we wouldn't normally sew with, like the metallics or like the micro threads, the 80 weight threads. So you can't put an 80 weight thread, I mean that's almost like sewing with hair almost, into a size 14 needle. And
Would the cat hair work?
are you gonna weave it? So she asked if cat hair would work, but so yeah, with that kind of thread, you have to use a microtex. There are metallic needles, so they make needles specifically for those applications. So there's microtex needles, there's metallic needles, there's another one that has a really long eye. I can't think of which one that is. The eye on the needle is
But we'll get
Much
some of
bigger.
Stitch.
top stitch, might be.
we'll get some of those books in and
Yeah,
show those on a future show. That'd be a
Yep.
great conversation. So
it is.
let us know if that would be a show that you would want to watch.
And I have to say to Marilyn, I apologize because I said, "Well, did you change your needle?" But I didn't say you should change it to a higher, a larger
I
needle.
changed it 3 or 4 times before it came in.
Okay,
So-
we have a giveaway.
And so we have a new product,
It is a new product.
sort of.
Can you see?
So the USB sticks
Yep. And they're just in there
with the logo on them.
with the logo. And this is our gift tonight. These are $9.99. I don't know what size they are to you, Robert.
2 gig.
Two, I think. 'Cause
gigs.
some of the machines don't read the higher sizes. So we tried to get something that was universal that most people would be able to use. So
Well, you really don't want the really large ones because when you put this in your machine, it has to read the entire drive. So you don't want
10,000 embroideries.
Did you have to go through
And
all
you
of
can
those
get
things?
a whole lot of embroidery files on this
Yeah.
because they're
Not too
tiny.
big.
They're like K, what 30K maybe.
And so we have those for Sewing Machines Express. We also have them at Windmill as well.
Yep.
So with the different branding for the stores on them. So if you want one of those, you can pick them up.
I like that.
Yeah, it came out really well, I thought.
It did.
So fun.
So we'll have a winner here, Chloe, in a minute.
We have a lot of good feedback on, positive feedback on a needle show.
That would be
Okay.
great. Yeah. Okay.
So we can do that. We can talk about needles. Send us some suggestions of what would you use on this, because people can come up with some combinations
Yeah.
of stuff like.
A lot of variables.
Mm-hmm.
So the winner is Kathy Rebelin.
Oh, Kathy! Congratulations!
Kathy, congrats.
She local? She's not.
No, I think she's up north somewhere.
Yeah. Congratulations, Kathy. So we will get this off to you. I think we already have your address, so I think
Okay.
she's shopped with us before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, ladies, we're already at that time. The show, 7 o'clock.
Oh,
It went really fast. So,
So
so how do we send off the show?
make
Make
it
it
so.
so.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.